Hi, everyone. This is Cynthia. I work for Mo Money. Mo Money is a financial literacy program here at Mohawk College, and we offer events and workshops, one on one counseling, as well as resources for students just to help them manage their money because we understand that we're not born naturally with money management skills. So we try to make the process and learning as easy and as fun as possible. Today, we're joined with Michel Hong, who is the founder of the Sassy Investor. She's an advocate for financial literacy, and she's on a mission to spread the awareness and word on the importance of financial independence and how to achieve it as well. She's worked in banking, investment banking, and venture capital in Toronto for 7 years. She's also a chartered financial analyst and a writer and content creator. She actually creates fun videos and they're informational as well on TikTok about finances on Mid Cleo. Welcome, Michelle Hong. To get this webinar started, Michelle, what is financial literacy all about, and why is it important for our students to start planning for life after college?
Great. Thanks for having me here. Really excited to be here today. So first off, financial literacy, it's simply just understanding and applying various financial concepts in the areas of money management, budgeting, and investing. There you go. If one wants to achieve financial independence, financial security, or financial stability, you need financial literacy. And I personally think it's a life skill. Being able to manage your life's resources, because it's the very thing, like money is the very thing that helps you buy whatever it is that you need to survive, and of course, all your wants in life. So for those reasons, I really think financial literacy is super important and just a skill that everyone needs to possess. All right. So again, thanks for having me here on Life After College. It's always an exciting time as you close one chapter of your life and move on to another. And almost always, not only does your lifestyle change, for example, you're going from a student to adulting, but your finances change as well. So I'm really glad I can be here today to share some of my insights and information around the topic of personal finances and help you get on the right track. I've certainly had my fair share of financial mistakes as a student. So a little bit of a backstory. I graduated university in 2008, okay, at the peak of the Great Recession. And even with co-op experience, I had 2 years worth of work experience. I had a really hard time finding a full-time job, and it's a reality for many students. And at one point, I was so broke and jobless. I actually considered participating in one of those pharmaceutical studies that paid a lot of money. Like, I think there was one that paid, I was looking at, and it paid maybe around $4,000. That's a huge chunk of change at the time. But, luckily at the time, I had people around me, like my boyfriend at the time, talk some sense into me, and I never ended up doing it. Because I was like, okay, for $4,000, what's it gonna take? Am I gonna grow an extra toe or something? So as a healthy 22, 23-year-old, I realized no amount of money in the world is ever worth compromising your health for. Okay, you cannot buy good health. So combination of poor money management, a bratty, entitled attitude, and unemployment left me with a lot of debt. Okay, I was moving money around from my line of credit to pay my credit card bills. It was just terrible. I was really stressed. I didn't want to just take any job. I really wanted to get into finance, and I had the mentality that if I worked anywhere else, I would forego my chances of ever developing a career in finance. That is not the case. It was never the case. But eventually I did get a job that paid minimum wage. It wasn't really what I wanted, so I wasn't thrilled about it, but nonetheless, it got me full-time hours, and I was able to pay my bills. And over time, everything fell into place and I got the job I wanted. The biggest change was my attitude, and I learned two things. Okay. One, I'm never getting into debt ever again. And two, no job is ever beneath you when you need to make ends meet. Okay, the hustle is real. Financial stress really takes a toll on you. And some of you may feel that now as students. And the number one stress for students now, it's academics and studying. And number two is finances. So one of the things I wished I learned was budgeting and managing my money, because I really got caught up trying to be a big girl and adulting by playing around with credit cards and spending like I had unlimited money. So needless to say, I made a lot of money mistakes as a student. So now I'm here to help you not make those mistakes. So just a little bit more about myself. Again, my name is Michel Hong. I am an author and founder of The Sassy Investor. I graduated from the University of Waterloo with a math degree specializing in finance. I've lived and breathed finance for well over 10 years of my life now, working from investment banking, venture capital, and now personal finances and financial education. I am also a CFA charter holder, which is the Chartered Financial Analyst designation. It is a globally recognized investment management designation, and the Institute holds its charter holders to one of the highest fiduciary standards in the world, which means when I work with clients, I have their interests at heart first and foremost. And of course, I am a sassy investor, and my mission is to empower as many people as possible to become financially independent and show them how to build a lifetime of wealth. So just a bit of stats for you right now. So according to a recent BDO poll, 53% of Canadians live paycheck to paycheck. Okay, 39% of Canadians have no savings for retirement. 69% say they won't have enough savings to last through retirement. And according to another poll, close to half of Canadians are $200 away from financial insolvency. Okay, that means they are one car repair away, one home repair away from not being able to pay their bills. According to another CIBC poll, okay, Canadian millennials have estimated they would need on average around $900,000 to retire. For Gen X, it's around $840,000, and for baby boomers, it's around $500,000. But meanwhile, okay, 90% of Canadians don't have a retirement plan. So of course, how would they know how much they'll need to retire and live comfortably during their golden years? Okay, and on a side note, 40% of millennials rely on friends and family for advice, which means they're relying on people that don't have their stuff together. Yes, these stats are showing that there are a lot of people that are broke in this country. And I know that, it's silly to talk about retirement at this point in your life, but this isn't just about retirement. This is about developing good money habits early on in life, so not only do you get ahead financially, but also so you don't end up as one of these statistics. So for today's agenda, we're going to cover off setting financial goals. We're going to be talking about what financial goals are, and then I'm going to show you how to create a budget or what I like to call a spend plan for your goals. So when it comes to savings, debt repayment, reaching your financial goals, all of these require some sort of budget or spending plan. Because one of the main reasons why people have trouble saving, it's because of their spending. It is never about how much money you make, but how much you spend and save. I've seen some high income earners save absolutely nothing, spend themselves into a ditch, and low income earners save a lot of money. So I'm going to show you a quick and easy way to build a budget or a spend plan, and it's a plan that I put all of my clients on. So financial goals. Okay, here are some examples of, before we get into financial goals. Okay, so these are some of the these are some examples of financial goals. Okay, so an emergency fund. Okay, everyone needs to have an emergency fund, roughly 3 to 6 months worth of your expenses. Okay, so that's for everyone. Now, for everything else, other your whatever financial goals you may have, whether it's a vacation, paying off your debt like your student debt or consumer debt, maybe you want to buy a car, maybe you're looking forward to making a home purchase, or you may not have a lot of financial goals. Maybe you just want to save money and invest it for retirement, for example. Okay, so these are the some of the financial goals that you may have, and all of these require some sort of planning if you want to obtain them if you want to attain them in a responsible way. So what do I mean by responsible? What's not responsible is, for example, putting a vacation on your credit card, okay, knowing that you haven't saved for it yet. Okay, you may be stress-free for about a week when you're on vacation, but you'll have many more days, weeks, even months to come that will stress you out because you just racked up some debt and you're going to be carrying that afterwards. Okay, so achieving your financial goals in a responsible way is the way to do it. So when you're planning for your goals, okay, specify what it is that you want. Okay, what do you want? Do you want to pay off your student debt? Do you want to maybe travel to Europe? Probably not anytime soon. So you want to specify how much it is that you will need and when you want it. Okay, and if you don't have any goals, that's okay. Stick that money in a savings account, or more importantly, invest it. Okay, invest it in your future. So it's important to have these target dates because you want to know what it is that you're working with. Okay, and then you're going to set aside money each month, okay, to allocate towards those goals. Let's just say you used a calculator and you figured, okay, I want to pay off my student debt in 3 years. I'm allocating $500 a month towards it, and in 3 years I can pay off my student loans. Okay, so these are some examples of how you set your goals and how you're going to achieve it. Okay, so the difference between saving and investing. Okay, goals that are due less than 5 years time, like say paying off your debt, maybe you're looking to get married in 2 years, whatever the case may be, you are saving money for that. After anything that's longer than 5 years, like say 5-10 years time, like saving for your retirement, maybe in 10-15 years you'll buy a house, things like retirement, or putting your kids through school in 15 years, you are investing that money. Okay, so that's a huge difference between saving and investing. And then once you've determined what you're going to be allocating towards these goals, you're going to be working that into your budget. Okay, so a few points on budgeting. So budgeting isn't just about numbers. Okay, budgeting is about paying off your debt in the most efficient way as possible. Okay, you're going to learn that as you graduate with some student debt. It's about not carrying stress while you're working or even going to school. Okay, money is the greatest source of stress, okay, in the workplace, more than work, more than personal health and relationships. Okay, and it's about making smart financial decisions and not detrimental mistakes. Okay, again, everyone in here is probably super young, and you want to learn how to make smart financial decisions to help you get ahead in life. Okay, in 10 years, you will be very grateful that you were listening to this webinar. So what is budgeting exactly? Okay, so a budget is simply just a logical system that helps you organize your expenses relative to your income. Okay, this is your thinking brain at work. Now, we generally operate with two sides of the brain. Okay, thinking brain, okay, the logical side, and the emotional side. Okay, emo brain. When we spend based on our emotions, not necessarily logical. Okay, thinking brain and emo brain don't get along because emo brain is crazy. Okay, she does whatever she wants to the extent that logical brain can reason with her. Okay, logical brain is the part of the brain that's like, okay, this is bad, you'll regret this, you shouldn't spend money on this, there are going to be some consequences. And in the meantime, emo brain's like, blah, 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 blah. I don't want to listen to you. I just want to do whatever I want. Okay, so things like I'm too tired to cook. I'm going to order in. I'm going to eat out. I don't want to make food. Okay, it's too cold to walk outside. I don't want to take the bus, so I'll take an Uber. Okay, if you let emo brain do whatever she wants, whenever she wants, you can easily blow your money away in a heartbeat. Okay, that's why you need a logical brain. In this case, you need a budget, okay, to reason with emo brain and to find a balance. And as you get older, you would have developed many good, some good money habits. Okay, you will have a better balance. And that means you will get to enjoy the luxuries out there without feeling guilty. So here are some key steps in building your budget or your spend plan. Okay, so the first step is to write down all of your income sources and the estimated amounts. You're gonna write down all your fixed expenses, and then you're gonna estimate budget for your variable expenses. These are mainly the expenses kind of dictated by emo brain. And then you're gonna maintain good habits. So first step, your sources of income. Okay, so where's your money coming from? Is it your part-time job? Is it your full-time job? Do you have both? Do you have side hustles? Be conservative and use numbers based on the lowest amount you bring in, whether it's on a weekly or monthly basis, especially if it's not predictable. Maybe you do shift work, maybe you work part-time and your hours differ. So you want to be conservative and estimate based on the lowest amount you bring in on this monthly or weekly basis. Okay, everything else that you bring in above and beyond is a bonus. The second step, okay, estimating your fixed expenses. Okay, so these are the expenses that are fixed. They are recurring. So things like, your rent, your utilities, internet, if you're a student, your tuition, your books, okay, memberships, like gym memberships, your subscriptions like Netflix, Spotify, whatever your fixed expenses may be, okay, this is where it goes, okay? And these are the expenses that come out automatically out of your checkings account, or whether it gets charged to your credit card right away. Okay, it doesn't matter what you're feeling that day. If it's April 1st and you're paying rent, okay, whether you want to or not, that money is being siphoned out of your checkings account. Okay, emo brain has no say in this at the moment. Okay, so the key to saving and reaching your financial goals is prioritizing your goals as high as your rent. Okay, so up here, I put it in gold. Okay, your savings and financial goals go here. Okay, so if you want to accelerate your debt payments, if you want to save for that trip, it goes up here. Okay, you treat it like a fixed expense and you treat it like you are paying your rent or your mortgage. So some savings tips for you, okay? Trim your large expenses, okay? The bigger, the better, okay? So things like rent and housing. Yes, I get it. We're in, the GTA, it's Toronto. Things like housing, cost of living is pretty high. But the biggest difference the biggest expenses that can help contribute to increasing your savings or paying off your debt faster will be these high expenses. Okay, so car expenses is another example. Cars, okay, are very expensive to own. You have car payments, you have insurance, you have gas, you have maintenance. Okay, really think about whether or not you need a car. If you decide that you're going to be living in the city, or you live somewhere where there's access to transportation, really consider giving up your car. My clients that don't have cars, frankly, they don't even have driver's licenses. They are the ones that save the most amount of money. And again, pay yourself first, okay? Prioritize your savings, your financial goals like you do rent. And of course, keep track of your expenses and create a budget or spend plan that you can work with, and you're gonna get used to working with that. You're gonna embed it into your life. So step 3 is estimating your variable expenses. Okay, so these are expenses that are less predictable. Okay, they're gonna change. So unless you live a very boring incredibly boring life and predictable life, your expenses are going to differ day to day, week to week, month to month. Okay. And these are expenses that are very much driven by your emo brain. Okay. Prices change, cost of food, cost of gas, cost of everything. They change. Okay. Cost of toilet paper, as we know recently, everything can change. Okay. So things like food, entertainment, Lyft, Uber, the clothes that you buy, things like makeup, personal products, all your expenses from Shoppers Drug Mart, Walmart, all of these, okay, they are generally very unpredictable, okay, and most people underestimate what they spend, okay, so remember, these are the expenses that are very much driven by emo brain, okay, again, times like, oh, I don't feel like cooking, I'm gonna get takeout, I don't wanna walk, all of these things that make us feel better, okay, trading in time for convenience, okay, it has a cost, okay, eating out, getting a Lyft, Uber, okay, you're trading in convenience for costs. Now, if you're just starting out after you're graduating school and you have a lot of debt you want to pay off, maybe you're not making as much money now, you're going to have to sacrifice some convenience, okay? But just remember, it's all temporary, okay? Build in some good money habits now so that over time, when you start making more money, you can enjoy these luxuries in a responsible way. So I'm going to show you right now in a worksheet that I created how to create a spend plan. Okay, so again, step one, okay, writing down all of your income sources. And there's going to be a PDF download and an Excel download for you as well. So don't worry about copying all of this down. So step one, write down all your income sources right here. So whatever your monthly income is after tax, you note it down here, okay? Step two, write down all of your fixed expenses and your savings and goals. So this black rectangle right here, this is where your savings and your other goals may be. Maybe you can throw in like student loan payments here as well, like accelerated ones, your minimum payments plus additional ones, all of that goes in here, okay? Again, you're prioritizing your savings and your goals as high as your rent, your mortgage, okay, your utilities, insurance, everything, okay? Gym memberships, all of these fixed expenses go in here, okay? So you're gonna tally all that up. The next step, okay, after you've tallied your income and your fixed expenses, what is left, okay? Available for variable spending, okay, works out to $930, okay, per month. Now, if you break it down on a weekly basis, okay, so it's $930 a month, times it by 12 months of the year, divide by 52 weeks, okay, that gets you to $214. Now, step three, you can do it one of two ways, okay, so if you're, it just depends on how everyone is. If you're like super organized and you want to allocate your variable spending, okay, your emo spending to these categories, like if you want to be like, I want to, budget $400 a month for food, $200 a month on entertainment, okay, you can do that right here, okay? So $930 is your monthly budget on a weekly basis. If you want to break it down further, this is what your weekly budget is for these expenses. Okay, so let's say, for example, $92 a week for food, $46 on entertainment. Okay, this is how you break it down on a weekly basis. Now, if that's not what you want to do, if you're like, well, there's a lot of work and I don't want to be bogged down by all these expenses, all these categories, that's fine. So you can just treat, okay, this $214 a week or $930 a month as an allowance. Okay, so remember when we were, teenagers, when we were young and we got an allowance from our parents, okay, we got cash. That was it. If we blew it all, we spent it all, that was it. There were no debit cards, there were like no credit cards, that was it. Okay, that's all you had. Treat this amount, this $214, like your weekly allowance. Okay, if you want to go to McDonald's every single day and blow it there, that is fine. You do whatever you want. Just do not go over this amount. Okay, and keep in mind, you want to break it down on a weekly basis because if you say to yourself, oh, I have $900 a month to spend this month, you can easily blow that in 2 weeks, okay? Break it down on a weekly basis and make sure you don't go over that. And right there, you know that this is all guilt-free spending because you've already set aside money from step 2 for your savings and for your other goals. And the last step is to maintain good habits, okay? Adjust and tweak your spend plan, your budget as needed, okay? Just because you created it once, it doesn't mean like that's it, right? If you feel like you're really restricted, maybe your goals are too aggressive, you know, lighten it up a bit, okay? You don't want to resent your life, you know, you want to have fun and enjoy your life as well, right? So take it easy on yourself if you feel like you're really being aggressive with your goals. Um, Also, keep track of your spending so you get used to what you're working with. Okay, so off the bat, if you really think you can just, you know, work with your, for example, $200 a week, write all your expenses down because you're basically training yourself to, you know, like to work around that amount. Okay, this is all about habits. Okay, get used to working with your weekly allowance so you know you get the feeling of what it's like to be spending that amount on a weekly basis, and eventually it'll be second nature to you, whether or not you keep track of it later on. But if you do that in the very beginning, you will you just basically start getting used to what it is that you are working with. So you can write them down manually, you can use an Excel sheet, or you can use apps that are out there. So apps like Meet Clio, YNAB, You Need a Budget, Spending Tracker, Good Budget. There's a number of apps out there for you that you can use to help you keep track of your expenses. And finally, think about how you feel before you make a purchase. Okay, you want to be inclusive of emo brain here. Okay, you gotta reason with her. Okay, so set a rule in place. So for example, if there's something you want to buy, maybe it costs like $50. Any purchase that's going to cost over $50, sleep on it. Okay, sleep on it, and if the next day you can't stop thinking about it, then you can buy it. Okay, but if you know you've slept on it and you've forgotten about it days later, then you know really assess, did you really need that or not? Okay, so you want to eliminate impulsive spending. So set a rule for yourself, purchases over whatever, however much money, maybe it's $50, set a rule for yourself and tell yourself, I will sleep on it before I make that purchase. So just to recap what we just talked about, again, prioritize your savings and financial goals. Treat it as important as your rent. Okay, keep track of your expenses. And remember, saving money, when you're saving money, it is for your short-term goals. Anything that's less than 5 years, you are saving money for. Anything longer than that, you are investing your money. So that pretty much sums up the presentation today. I think I will turn it back over to you, Cynthia.
Hi everyone. Thank you so much, Michelle, for that. I was like scribbling the whole time, being a recent Mohawk grad myself as well. Thank you for sharing those resources and the apps. I find apps are really useful now because you can always keep track, even if you just have like a few minutes commute, you can keep track of your life.
Sure.
So that's amazing. Thank you so much for that. Okay, so now we're going to talk about some resources that Mo Money has and the Mohawk Alumni has as well. So our first resource, the Mohawk has a module. It's free. It's a course on eLearn right now. It's called Money Matters, and it's a really interactive module and course that you can use for whatever part of your life. So whatever phase you are in life, if you're planning on making a major purchase like a car, a house, whatever it is, if you're thinking about building wealth, investing, and saving, if you want to start a business, if you're thinking about life after college, like we're talking about right now, or if you're thinking about ways to save and you need something challenging and fun to do as well. So for every if you want to do this course, we usually start with an introduction. We start with an introduction because it's really good to have a strong um, foundation. So no matter how well you think you know um, money management. It's always good to revisit and, refresh. And if you don't know a lot, it's always good to start on this nice foundation. So we have 4 steps in the introduction. You learn about your money personality. So are you a really emo brain person, or are you logical, or you're a balance of both? We also like to talk about setting smart financial goals, like Michelle spoke about, talk about paying back debt, and also budgeting 101. Those are the 4 places we like to start with. And then once you're done with this introduction, you can just go back to the home page like I just did, and you can go into the life after college piece. And the life after college piece is super, super helpful for every new grad, or if you're just about to graduate. It talks about day-to-day banking. It talks about SMART goals again. It talks about paying back debt. And it talks about continuing your education and career benefits and deduction. So you have all 4 of them right here, and you can decide, okay, am I really stressed about OSAP? Am I really stressed about finding a new bank because I no longer have a free student plan? Am I really stressed about health insurance? Whatever you're worried about, you can just come into this module and you can figure it out. You can navigate it. While we're talking about working and post-grad and benefits, Alumni is a great resource for that. If you go into mohawkcollege.ca/alumni, um, slash alumni benefits, which is right here. You can just go in there, and if you press this button, you get a toggle down. You can look into insurance and finances. I think that's a really huge one, because just coming out of graduation, I find not a lot of jobs offer benefits, especially health insurance right off the bat. So the Mohawk alumni have a good insurance plan, agreement with some insurance companies that you can go into and reach out to them, contact them, because you don't want to be without insurance in case anything happens. And that's something we should always be planning for. I know that's something I'm always thinking about. If you're thinking about traveling and that's one of your big financial goals, maybe reach out to some auto or travel agencies and see what their prices are like, and then you can put that into your saving goals. You can make that one of your saving goals, but always think about your saving goals before you just you're like, oh, this is discounted, so I'm just going to buy it all at once. Don't do that. I've done that a lot of times. Not great. Gym memberships. I know the gym's free, the D-Bark's free for students here, but once you graduate, you have to start thinking about paying for the gym, and Alumni has a great partnership with the D-Bark, so you can always go and tell them you're an alumni and you get discounted gym membership rates. And another great one resource is Percopolis that Alumni has partnership with. And I know right now for the tax season, actually, there is a 25% discount. 25% discount on TurboTax, and that's because you're a Mohawk alumni. So it's just amazing having access to all these resources and discounts. And also, the Sassy Investor is a great resource to check out as well. Go into sassyinvestor.ca. you can buy some products like a money planner or Michelle's book, but you can also access free stuff as well. She has a budget kit. She has four things you need to do before you start investing. So there are different things. The trick for that I've learned for myself is to explore resources. So reach out to alumni, reach out to Mo Money, just explore resources. If it's free to access. Why not, right? So, yeah, that's all we have about our resources. Now it is time for the question period with Michelle. And we're just going to be answering some student questions. Perfect. We don't have any. Okay, so it's not too late to send out your questions if you have any questions. If you don't send it by the time this is done, you can still send us an email and we'll try and get Michelle to answer those questions and we'll send you the answers through email. But we do have four questions here for Michelle. I hope you're ready, Michelle. There are
All right.
four fun questions. So, how do we pay off debt when you don't have a lot of income or you're low income?
How to pay off debt if you have low income to low income. It's hard to pay off debt if you have no income. Chip away as much as you can. It's like the act of paying it back, and you're setting a goal. You're setting your mind to paying that off, um, and that again, that comes with prioritizing your goals. It's important, right? It's important for you to pay off your debt. Set your mind to, even if you're like paying off like $20 a month or whatever it is, a little bit will go a long way. Okay. And at one point, maybe you're going to make more money. And then because you've gotten so used to it, you're going to get even more excited when you bring in the more income. You're like, I'm going to start putting away even more. Okay. It's just the act of that habit, the action of paying back your debt, getting started, even if you have very little to put towards, that's the most important thing. And of course, you can only cut back so much on your expenses. Okay, so if one of those things you realize, okay, you're spending too much money on here and there, you assess your expenses and you cut back. You can only cut back on so much. Okay, again, you don't want to resent your life. So, past the point, you're gonna have to make more money. Okay, whether it's part-time jobs, side hustles, whatever it is that you can do, like odd jobs here and there, all these little things, okay, all that money will add up to a lot of money, because if you are not paying back that debt, okay, interest is being charged to you, and that will add up to so much more later on. So make more money if you can. Side hustles, freelance, whatever the case may be, get your income up there. Get your income up.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. Another question we typically get is, should we start paying debt first, or do we want to start saving first, or is there a way to do both simultaneously?
Yeah, certainly. You can do both. No one says you like they're mutually exclusive. You don't have to do one or the other. It's advisable to do both. Okay, because let's just say, for example, you're just putting all that money away towards debt. Okay, and then something happens. There's an emergency. Okay, what are you gonna do? Like, where are you gonna get that money? Okay, you're gonna end up putting it back on your credit card or your line of credit, and then you're gonna feel a bit discouraged because you're gonna watch that balance go up again. Okay, so allocate money towards your savings and allocate money towards your debt, maybe a little bit more towards your debt, because the interest costs will add up. But more importantly, you want to be able to have something set aside. So let's just say your car breaks down or something like that. Okay, at least you have cash that you can tap into, and then rebuild that up and continue to put money towards your debt.
Thank you for that again. And our last question is, what are the top three things you consider before buying a house or making a huge purchase?
Hmm, okay, so on a home purchase specifically? I know I get that question a lot. You know, we're in like Toronto GTA, everyone is a little bit house crazed right now. First thing is affordability. Okay, this isn't just about, you know, the mortgage payments to consider when you know, you're using a calculator, you're like, oh, I can afford these monthly payments. Okay, take a step back and just think about the purchase price. Okay, if it's like $800,000, just think about how much money that is. And it's just not the $800,000 that you are going to be paying. There's going to be interest tacked onto that, which is significant. You're paying well over $1 million over 25, 30 years for that house. Okay, and it's, I know like some of the, when you punch it in, and because we're in such a low interest rate environment, it feels like it can be affordable. But again, just make sure that you can afford it. It's not just about the mortgage payments. Your mortgage payments will change, okay? Because interest payments, mortgage payments can increase when interest rates rise. So affordability is, it's very important to really think about that. You know, it's always advisable to not spend more than like 40-50% of your paycheck towards housing, because it's just, you don't want to be house poor, and you don't want to like resent your life because all your money is going towards housing. The second thing is consider other housing costs. Okay, so things like condo fees, property taxes, utilities, all of which, okay, all these costs can go up over time. So it's not just your mortgage payments, it's all those other costs that are attached to owning a house that you need to factor in. So make sure that all of this gets lumped under affordability. And finally, and I have to put this out there, but it's think about like the attachment to the idea that you need to own a house now, okay, or you're never gonna get it. Okay, you don't need to own a house now. Like, you know, like I've met a lot of young people in their 20s and they're like, I need to buy a house now or I'm never going to get in. Okay, no, that is not true. Yes, housing is expensive, but you are also gifted with youth. Okay, you have a lot of time ahead of you, which means you are given a lot more time to save for a house that you can afford. Okay, being patient in this market, allowing yourself to build up your wealth in the meantime will give you way more options later on. So I have a really good friend of mine. She's, you know, in her mid 30s. She was never crazy about owning a house. She's been renting for a long time. But in the meantime, she's been saving and investing diligently. And now she has a massive down payment that she can put towards. She's still not in a rush, but now she has so many more options. Okay, she has the luxury of waiting, finding that perfect home, and on top of that, more importantly, she will not be stretched. She can afford a house without being pinched, being restricted, without having to dump every penny of her savings into a house. Okay, and that is the benefit of allowing yourself to save for these massive purchases, being patient, and, you know, just giving yourself time, allowing your money to grow. So that just goes for any purchases over the long run as well. Long run and in the short term, just make sure you can you give yourself the time to save for it, and then, you know, ultimately at the end of the day, it becomes a guilt-free purchase.
Thank you. We have one question. Someone says, when your income is on a sporadic side, for example, if you're a freelance artist or designer, how would you suggest budgeting or saving changes from the normal 9 to 5?
So you want to be conservative when you have unpredictable income. So when you are creating your budget, you want to take the lowest amount you earn on any given month, for example. Okay, let's just say it could be like 15 hours a month or whatever the case may be. Maybe your hours fluctuate from like 15 to 25. You know, again, use budget for the lowest amount that you bring in on a weekly, on a monthly basis. And anything else, anything additional you bring in is a bonus. You can, use that to, do other things like allocate it towards your goals.
Perfect. Another question just came
Mhm.
in. What is something that a lot of people waste money on that isn't really needed? Say for example, a specific type of insurance or subscriptions. So the person just wants to know what's something that like isn't necessary that we can all just ignore.
We have unlimited wants in this world. But what I find people waste a lot of money on, my experience, clothes, the fashion industry. We have fast fashion. Okay, I know a lot of girlfriends, a lot of friends. They spend a lot of money on clothes. They have huge closets, little savings to show for. But also we're in a world where buying anything is so convenient. We have like one-click purchases on Amazon. We have apps like Wish. Just we can just buy things so easily. It will be those items, these consumer products, that things that people generally um, don't need, that you could live without. And frankly, if you learn to cut that out, all these impulsive purchases, you'll feel much better. And another thing will be eating out. So it's convenient. We're in such a diverse city. We have so many amazing restaurants, so many like amazing food around here. I know it's certainly tempting to just try a new restaurant like twice a week, every week, whatever the case may be. But eating out does take up a lot of people's budgets. So the one way to manage it is, kind of, you don't have to remove it out of your life completely, of course not, right? But just treat yourself maybe once every 2 weeks, and be a little bit more selective with it. And that way you can really, really enjoy it. And again, over time, you will be able to enjoy more of that later on as you move up in life in your career and you start to make more money.
Thank you so much for answering those questions.
You're
I
welcome.
think that's the final question we got from everyone watching. Again, just a reminder to everyone to send in your questions if you have any questions, or follow Michelle on Instagram. She's the Sassy Investor, and she's also the Sassy Investor on Facebook and Twitter. She's reachable. Follow her and check out her website as well. Yes, and I'm just going to throw it back to Lindsay, who is going to close off the webinar.
Hello, everyone. I hope everyone enjoyed that webinar. I know I've already downloaded these apps, and I'm going to start trying to keep a closer eye on my budget. So I hope everyone got some tips and tricks through this webinar. I'd like to thank Michelle for coming in today and helping us out, as well as Mo Money for partnering with Alumni on this webinar. So we will get this recorded and sent out to everyone. Thanks again. Have a great day. Bye.